Hey guys, welcome back to A2D Agree Disagree. I am Michael. As always, I'm here with my podmate Brian. Man, it's been a little bit. We went on a little hiatus there for a little while. Went through the NBA Finals and enjoyed the NBA Finals. I even watched a little bit of the Stanley Cup Finals. So we took a couple of weeks off there, man. It's good to be back. It's good to go into an entire new season of all this stuff that's going on, man. So other than that, man, how was your fourth? How's the last couple of weeks been for you? How'd you enjoy that NBA Finals?
Good, man. It was a good one. A good finals until it wasn't. The Dubs, man. I think it was game five or game six where they kind of just demoralized them. I think it was game five. The must win, man. But Curry, man, solidified his legacy. The Warriors solidified their legacy. So congrats to the Dubs. Curry, man. A lot of people are saying, is he top 10 all time now? To me, he's right there. He's right. He's right in that mix. I was going over my top 10, and I think I have him in there, dude. And the thing about it is he's not done yet. There's talk of this dude Kevin Durant maybe coming back, and if he does that, you can almost add two more rings potentially to his resume. All of a sudden he's at six, then he's guaranteed in the top 10. So he'll be there. People can speculate and talk about it like it's a hot topic right now. I think it's almost a moot point because he will be there. When it's all said and done, he'll be there. He changed the game. He's the most skilled player ever, perhaps, dude. And props to him. He actually came through. He got his finals MVP, got that monkey off his back. And man, what a performance. What he averaged, like 35 or 34 or something like that per game.
Something ridiculous, yeah.
Dude, he went in. So it was impressive. He was not to be denied. You could tell how much it meant to him. He was really emotional and well deserved. My man Clay, six in a row. It's a team effort, but man, that full Curry, his legacy is solidified. That's for sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, man. When we go back to our takes on, when we were talking about the NBA Finals before it even happened, we saw a really good Celtics keep going in there, and it was going to be a good series. And I just remember saying, I just want to see a good series. I think we disagreed on there. Like, I think you had the Celtics in seven, I had the Warriors in seven. Like, we just wanted to see a good series. We said whoever was going to come up big, whether it was going to be Tatum or Steph, and it just happened to be Steph, man. Like, Steph showed that he balled out, man. And there's not, and as far as the top 10 thing is concerned, it depends on how you look at it. Is he the top 10 most talented, athletic? He might be right there. To me, yeah, he absolutely is in top 10 now because of what he just did and how he changed the game, man. Like, that's why I have Kobe in my top five, and all that kind of stuff, because Kobe changed the game. Other than Jordan, Kobe came in and everybody's shooting baskets in the trash can, yelling Kobe. Like, if you watch how the fans react to the game, and now all these guys shooting threes on fast breaks, that all happened because of Steph Curry. You could talk about the Reggie Millers and the Ray Allens before him, but that all happened because of Steph. And now that he's won, his four, and he's got Finals MVP, he's got that monkey off his back. I don't really think there's a question. He's the best shooter of all time, so, and that really can't be in question anymore, that he is. So when you're the top shooter of all time and doing what he can do, I mean, there's not really anything to talk about it, but you mentioned Kevin Durant, dude. That's a perfect segue into kind of the big news this week. The hot topic of this week is what the hell is going on with Kevin Durant. He wants out 3 years after he signs with Brooklyn, signs that extension. So let's go into that a little bit. How do you think Kevin Durant, where do you think he plays next year? Is he staying with Brooklyn? Is this all just smoke, or what happens here?
Um, Man, honestly, like going over it, we've been talking for days about it since the news broke a couple days ago when he first requested the trade. And I feel, man, just we saw Rudy Gobert, who just got moved to the Timberwolves for I think it was 5 first-round picks. So they said they want minimum that plus all-star level players. And there's not really a team out there. Honestly, there's maybe two, and the two that come to mind are the Golden State Warriors, which is that really going to happen? Are you really going to and that's up to Golden State at this point. Do you want to give up Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Kuminga, and all these draft picks. And that's what it's going to take to get it done and get Kevin Durant. But honestly, if you get Kevin Durant, like I said, you're almost locking up two championships, or at least runs at championships these next couple of years. So that's up to Golden State, really. They're the one team, and that's the best offer I feel that they're gonna get, unless Phoenix, your boys, go all in and they throw in Bridges, Johnson, Aiton, and some picks, but the picks aren't going to be as good. So I don't even know how appealing that is for Brooklyn. So I ultimately, I'm probably going to sound crazy here, but ultimately, dude, like I think Golden State is fine, dude. You could tell how much that meant to Curry. They just won. They obviously didn't need him. They got it done. Um, they go to another level. I think they're an all-time team. This team right now, I think they can be beat a healthy Milwaukee Bucks. If Chris Middleton's there, I think that maybe they go to the finals and potentially win it. Call me a hater, call me whatever, but that's just how I feel about it. Um, so I do think that Kevin Durant takes them to another level. So if they want to make that move, then they go back to being an all-time great team, not just another championship team. Um, so I feel like Golden State, it's balls in their court. They have the best package to offer. They could do it, but will they do it? I don't think they will. I think they're going to give all that up. These guys are getting up there in age. They're big three, so they need some young guys to carry it out. They just won too, so they're not desperate. So I don't think Golden State is going to pull the trigger on that. Phoenix, I don't know. I know you don't want them to pull the trigger on all that, unless it requires a third team. Then it gets real complicated. So man, for me, ultimately, I think he ends up staying in Brooklyn. I think they're gonna end up doing like, hey man, we can't get an offer that is worthy. Kyrie just locked in for 36 million. Ben Simmons is coming back. Let's make a run at this. We've never had an actual run at it. They haven't done it yet. And honestly, and if they do, I think that they can get right back into that Eastern Conference contenders mix if they do run it back. So I think there are teams and there are players actually that have requested trade. Kobe requested a trade. It never happened. So there are times where guys don't get moved after requesting a deal. Clearly, there's something going on behind the scenes. Kyrie, with him, it seems like there always is. That guy's always got something going on. Maybe I don't know how their relationship is. Who knows? But either way, something's going on for him to do this. Man, they did bring in Royce O'Neal. They just signed T.J. Warren. I think it was today.
Yeah,
So
that was actually kind of a big signing. Yeah.
right. They have a couple of wing players that they could have used them last year. If you get the shooter back Harris or whatever, isn't it the white dude?
Joe
You get
Harris.
him back. Yeah, if you get your lineup back and Kyrie actually plays, then dude, Ben Simmons, you get him too. I feel like they have a real shot in the East. So I think eventually, hopefully, I think they make a mistake. I'm tired of the super team. Don't go to Golden State, and if he goes to Phoenix, I feel like that's good for Phoenix. You already know how I feel. I feel like Phoenix needs to push the chips in. They ain't gonna get it done as is.
Yeah, I'll save my son's take here for the last bit of it here, but you hear how Brooklyn's owner and how their executives are talking about the situation. After last year, I mean, they obviously weren't an 8 seed. I mean, they weren't, or a 7 seed, whatever they ended up being. They had a lot more talent than that. When you have Kyrie and Kevin Durant, all these, Ben Simmons never played for him, but when you have these guys on your roster and they end as a 7 seed, I mean, that's a disappointment. And then having the whole, not to get too far into this crap, but the Kyrie vaccination thing, I know that was a headache for them. They had a whole bunch of stuff last year that just kind of went wrong for them. And then when it came down to it, they got swept by the Celtics. And, other than game one, that really wasn't even that good of a series. So, I know that the owner's talking about how he just wants to be done with it. He wants to get rid of it himself, of all this, drama and stuff like that. I get it. On the same token, man, I mean, Kevin Durant's pushing 34. If he's not already 34, he's pushing his 34-year-old season. He's not. This isn't 2017. I don't know how much MVP Kevin Durant, how much scoring leader Kevin Durant you're going to get, and that's where teams are going to be weary. You talk about Golden State having the best package. I agree with you. Only because they're the champs and they're a very, very deep team. Problem with that is, are you going to, like you said, you mentioned it, are you going to give up the rest of your youth for 2 or 3 years of throwing your chips in? And you're right, they're aging too. So I mean, are they going to be able to get back with their big three that they have now? So they lost Gary Payton the second. They lost some pieces there. So how much are people really looking to make these big trades for it? I understand the Rudy Gobert deal, but I mean, I can't sit here and say that I would want to trade, going into my son's take. I don't want to sit here and say Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, these two kids are going into probably what are going to be the next 3 or 4 best years of their careers. And to give that up for a guy that doesn't guarantee a ring, especially when you don't have your rapport and your chemistry. And then DA, I mean, I've kind of come to terms that we're going to lose him, but to make this big deal for one guy, it doesn't guarantee anything. And yeah, it might sell some seats, cool. But you have Chris Paul, Devin Booker. I mean, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson are 2 fan favorites, man. And if you trade them, I mean, a lot of Suns fans aren't going to be happy. You're going to be cutting all their depth. And I just don't really see how that could be it. The one rumor that I like, and that kind of would make sense, is 3-team trade. It involves Utah. It involves Donovan Mitchell. In return, Utah gets DeAndre Ayton and Ben Simmons. So, I mean, they're getting kind of a win there. Brooklyn gets like all these picks and they get Donovan Mitchell. That makes sense. And then Phoenix gets Kevin Durant. So I see that as the only way as a Suns fan I'd be happy if that trade worked out. But do I see that happening? No, I don't. Because I don't think, like you said, Brooklyn's sitting in a position where they have KD under contract for 4 more years. I mean, they don't have to pull the trigger. And unless if they like the deal, they don't have to pull it. And he is a generational player, but he's generational player at the back end of his career. So I think people need to calm down with all these massive, like they wanted Booker in return. They wanted all this stuff in return. Hell no. Like he's just not that guy anymore to me, and I don't think he should be, especially when he's only played, 70 games over the last 2 years. So that's what I got to say about that. And I mean, I would love to see him on the Suns, but not for this ransom that they're asking for.
Well, it's A2D. You already know we A2D on the Suns, and honestly, even on Kevin Durant, I don't think he's 34. I'm 33. I don't feel crazy old, and he's the Slim Reaper, man. He's got some tread on those tires still, man.
I'm 33, and I feel like I'm 80. So I mean, it just depends on where he's hitting.
There's different types of dudes out there, and KD, he ain't. He only played 70 games the past how many years, but over those 70 games, he was an MVP candidate early on this year, and in the playoffs last year, he was an inch away from sending Milwaukee home. So he's this year, Tatum outplayed him, and that's crazy to see, especially with Tatum the way he shrunk in the finals. But Kevin Durant, I feel like there might have been something wrong with him. Either way, that wasn't the same Kevin Durant I seen in that series. Maybe. That's why he requested a trade. Maybe there's some problems brewing between him and Kyrie. Who knows? Because I remember you and I talking last year, Kyrie should be the main option. I'm like, no way, and maybe they're, Kobe and Shaq separated. They had beef. Kyrie wanted to get away from LeBron. So it's these guys are humans. So it could happen. Maybe there's something going on there. But a healthy, motivated Kevin Durant, he's a top 5 player in the world. He's the best player on your team if you go get him, and you just almost got beat by a player almost basically by himself because he's a superstar level. And right now the Suns, they don't have anybody that can get to that level. Like Chris Paul has his moments where he takes over, but man, speaking of old, he's even older. So Kevin Durant is another guy that can get his own. Devin Booker to me struggles to create space. It was Chris Paul. Once he stopped taking over games, they stopped winning games in the playoffs. So to me, you need another guy that can take over. Booker, I think he's better as a third option. You get Kevin Durant in there, and that team, Kevin Durant, Jay Crowder, you can throw Biyombo at center, and have like I said, Crowder, Booker, and Paul. And to me, that's a better team than what you just put out last year. It has higher potential because you have stars and stuff. Like I picked Brooklyn to beat Boston, and I wasn't the only one. When you got stars like that, you lean towards that in big moments, especially in Game 7 situations. They just lost to one. So to me, Kevin Durant is a guy that can match that at any game. He can be the best player in the world again, give and take. So he's worth it to me. I'm pushing the chips in. The question is, does Brooklyn want that offer? Do they want Aiden? Because he has to commit there. He's a restricted free agent, so it gets really complicated with them. So
Well, it
I know it
can't be
sounds good.
again. If it's going to be Phoenix, it has to involve a third team. It has to.
Unless the other
No
guys
new
went,
rules in the NBA now about
maybe
trades.
Aiden will sign an extension if he knows that Cam and Michael or whatever is going to be there too.
But see,
So if
the problem Brooklyn has right now is actually not Kevin Durant. The ultimate problem they have deep down underneath is Ben Simmons. So that contract that Ben Simmons has actually rejects a lot of trades coming back because they can only have, I think, so many max offers on their roster. So bringing DeAndre Ayton, who's probably going to, if Phoenix doesn't give it to him because he's a restricted free agent, so if a team like Utah, a team like San Antonio, they offer him a max deal, well, Phoenix can turn around and say, hey, we're going to give it to you anyway, big fella. Like, do I think they're going to? Probably not. But they still have that option.
if you're DeAndre Ayton, real quick, sorry, if you're DeAndre Ayton, don't do that. Don't chase money. You go to San Antonio, they just got rid of their all-star level player.
Yeah,
They're in complete rebuild mode. You go to
100%
Utah,
rebuild.
Donovan Mitchell, he's on the way out too. Like, so I mean, maybe go play with Donovan Mitchell, but you're gonna go play with Donovan as opposed to staying with Booker and Chris Paul. Like, that's a downgrade. So for as far as your career and dude, what's more important, having a few extra dollars or being a guy that keeps ascending in your career? And he was making some good steps this year until the playoffs. I don't know what happened in the playoffs, but he was looking good earlier in the year. So
If we're gonna go into just, I don't want to just talk about Phoenix, but Devin Booker, I know that he had a bad playoff. He got hurt somewhere along the lines. I know he sprained his ankle, I think, in that Pelican series. I mean, something happened. You're right. Something happened with DeAndre Ayton because him and Monty Williams are like father and son. So something happened there that, all of a sudden there's this breakup. I think he wanted to, show himself in that Maverick series. He kind of got his ass kicked in that series a little bit. That wasn't necessarily the best series for a big man like that. Because, what Dallas is a perimeter team. So that takes away the high pick and roll and stuff like that. So he just never really adjusted well in that series. It kind of made him look bad. I think he was kind of getting pissed off that, hey, I have a max deal on the table and now you're making me look bad. I don't know. There might have been something along those lines. I don't know. I wasn't in that locker room.
maybe he wanted the ball. Maybe this to fit. Maybe he wants to actually get some low post touches
And
instead of
he should, man. That guy is
yeah.
fucking dominant.
Especially against against who
Yeah.
Powell's
Yeah.
gonna stop you. Like, who's gonna stop him down there? Like,
Yeah, man.
maybe he's onto something.
And I kept calling for that kind of stuff. I was like, hey, slow the pace down. Like, they're just launching threes and they're hitting threes. And that's how you get up by 40 is by making your shots. And I kept saying, like, slow the pace of this down. Like game 3, I was like, slow it down. And game 4, slow it down. And all we were trying to do is run with this team. And that's not how we beat them 14 times in a row. Like, it just, for whatever reason, that series, I don't know what happened. I think Chris Paul got a little egotistical. Maybe Booker got a little egotistical with Doncic. They just lost it. I'm kind of hoping they are able to calm things down and get DA back, because I love DA, man. I want him to be a Sun for life too. Right now, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But on the other side of it, you got Kevin Durant over here in Brooklyn. Like you said, like Kobe requested a trade and he never got traded. So shit can happen in a really short period of time. I hope it happens. We have drafted other than Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, we pretty much drafted our entire team. We have Dario Saric coming back next year, man. He was kind of a forgotten about piece since he tore his ACL in that finals a couple of years ago. And if he doesn't tear his ACL in that finals, who knows? But he's off the bench, man. And I don't really see him as a starter. You mentioned Biyombo being back. Phoenix is kind of in limbo right now. And we're trying to figure out if they want to be a good team or not. The problem I have with that trade is Mikal Bridges. I think Mikal Bridges is one of those dudes. He just is on a team where he's option 3 or 4, but he had a plus 500, 568 plus minus last year. Like he averages 15 points a game. He's second in defensive player of the year. Those are the kind of guys that you just can't draft every single year. You can draft scorers. You can draft guys that can go out and get you points. Booker can get you 30 points if you need it. If Chris Paul, like you mentioned, he can. But Mikal Bridges is every little thing, that team needs him to do. And losing that piece, there's a reason why everybody wants him, man. I've been saying it for 2-3 years now. Mikal Bridges, man, is probably, in my opinion, the most underrated player in basketball for what he does on a day in and day out basis. I think last year he started finally getting his flowers and people started voting for him for defensive player of the year. But he's been doing that since the day he started, man. He doesn't miss games. He averages 35 minutes a game. Like he plays. And when he plays well. And it's very rare where you say Mikal Bridges had a bad game. 3 out of the 4 games against Golden State. He's, I know 2 of them for sure. He was locking Curry down. So stuff like that. He goes in and he plays
too well against Luka.
But he didn't really play on Luka, man. Like he just.
But if he's that guy that you're hyping,
he should have been. That's what I kept saying though. Like he should be that guy, and he should be the one that's frustrating. But they had Crowder, and they even had Booker and Chris Paul on him.
If he's to me, A2D again, man. He's replaceable. Like he's a 3-and-D guy essentially.
Who? Name one player in the NBA.
Jay Crowder he could play that. If you got Kevin Durant, all of a sudden you got even more space. Someone that can play D. And if you're not shutting down the other team's best player, why are you even in that conversation? Like at least Marcus Smart tried to guard Curry. Yeah, didn't do a great job, but at least he attempted it. Like this dude, you're not even gonna go over there and try. Like you say, he's not guarding him. Like how are you that dude? And then, I mean, did we not just watch that? Like it just had like he's not Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, he'll never reach that level.
Yeah, Jay Crowder. He's not that guy.
I know Mike Bridges is much better than Jay Crowder, and he's not going to be as good as a 3-and-D guy and as good of a role player. He's not going to get to the loose balls as much. Like, and even like
it's not even really that he's a role player though, man. Like he is. Like if you even watch, I know. Like everything. I know
he's good. Like I know he's good. He's an all-star level player. Close. He's borderline all-star to me.
But I'm talking about even the chemistry. I'm talking about the chemistry. Like when you talk about, the stuff off the page, like everything on Instagram, Mikal's in the center of everything Phoenix. And he's a fan favorite. Like he's my favorite player.
Similar to how I just was going over with Golden State. They just won a championship. They have great chemistry.
He's their Draymond.
And Wiggins put together, right? He does a bunch of the little stuff. He'll come in and dunk on you. I am not saying that he's not good, but Kevin Durant takes even the Warriors to another level. You take those guys out I know it's only for the next 2 or 3 years, but during these next 2 or 3 years, that team all of a sudden is at another level because of Kevin Durant's ability to take his game to that level. And there are levels to this, man. And I think Kevin Durant, to me, that scale, he tips it up. He's the better player. And he makes that team a little bit more dangerous. Right now, I don't see that team battling the Dubs or even the Clippers. I can name a few other teams that I think can give them a run too, as the rosters are currently consulted. So I think for them, they need to do it. The question is, does Brooklyn want that, and are they willing to offer it? Because I know Phoenix, some fans obviously don't want to give it all up, but
they can't take. As I understand it, they can't. I mean, like everybody's, they want Booker. Well, they can't take Booker without it being Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons. They can't take Booker without pushing Ben Simmons off the roster.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. Yeah. So I mean, they.
But that big Brooklyn, three. Think about is there a big three that's better than Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul? 3 guys that can kind of get I know, like I said, Devin Booker struggles to get his space a little bit, but man, when you got Kevin Durant. And you got Chris Paul, guess what? You're going to get a little bit more space every single fucking time. And he is one of the best shooters in the world. So all of a sudden, I think his points go. I think Devin Booker's game goes to another level with Kevin Durant on the court.
The only thing that I can see that it might get in their way is kind of the same thing that we just saw with the Lakers. Like we all know is LeBron's team, But like Russ didn't have that great. He has his worst, in my opinion, had the worst season of his career because he just didn't fit. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they're both scorers, man. Like they're both looking, they both want the ball at the end. Like they could get in each other's way. Is the only thing
But
that I could see. I don't
there,
think that would happen. I don't think that would
A2D,
happen.
yeah, no way. You just saw Devin Booker, like the way the Suns play, with the way Monty has them going, they play as a team. That ball moves, it swings around. Kevin Durant plugged him in Golden State, and how's their system? Pretty similar. So
If
I mean,
it
I think that you saw a time where I saw a possession in Golden State where it was Clay, KD, and Curry all wide open for three, and they're all sitting there pointing at each other for the other guy to pass the ball to. Like they all wanted the other guy to shoot it. KD's not saying give me the ball. Like he could blend, man, and he just got to pick and choose his spots, and that's where they need, because the team is good. We know that the chemistry is there, the system is there, the role players are there, but you ran into a certain level player that you got no answer for. So for me, that's the answer. That is the fucking answer.
I
So
think that's
there
why
is
it's
no
on
other
the
answer.
table. That's why
To me,
that's
there's
why
no
it,
other answer.
that's why it's on the table, man. I mean, we saw what happened in that game 7, and there's every year they adjust because of what happened the year before. You saw them go out and get JaVale McGee because that Milwaukee
Giannis.
series. So they're going to adjust every single year, but unfortunately next year it's going to be different again. And then they're going to be the team that's going to continuously adjust. And as a Suns fan, man, we talked about this yesterday, is I'd rather see them go be the 8 seed with who they have than go out and sell their souls for the ones, because getting Kevin Durant still it does not. I mean, it doesn't guarantee you a title. Everybody thought that, him going with Kyrie, and then when Ben Simmons got there and having James Harden there in the first place, like everybody thought, oh, that's an automatic title. Well, that never came to fruition either. And then everybody thought, Westbrook, AD, and LeBron playing together was an automatic title, an automatic repeat. Well, that didn't happen. So there's stuff like that, as a Suns fan, man, I mean, it's been like, I've been a Suns fan for life, dude. I've gone through the Barkley years. I went through the early Devin Booker years. I went through pre-Devin Booker, the Steve Nash years. I went through all of it. I've been through all the heartbreak. And, if we're selling our entire squad for Kevin Durant, I probably say this now, but like next June when they're holding the trophy, like, yeah, maybe I changed my mind. But you have to win a title for this to make sense. And right now, there is no guarantee in how strong the Western Conference is, man. Like there is not a single guarantee that they even get out of the first or second round again.
But they
So
have all of a sudden they have the best, especially offensively, they have the best trio in the game, dude. And
they're
how do you
gonna
guard
have
that?
to they're gonna have to say so DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and Cam Johnson, again, to me,
And
is
and
like
some
the
picks.
heart of that team. Is the heart. You rip the heart out just to bring some more soul in there. Like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, who knows if those guys are going to mesh well? I know Kevin Durant really, really likes
Bridges,
Devin Booker from the Olympics, but who really knows, man? That is the heart and soul of that team. Like
right? But
that's
that
like
hard and soul,
ripping.
I know you like him. I know it's been a good run, maybe the best run in Suns history. But that was also with the addition of Chris Paul, who wasn't drafted there. He wasn't a homegrown guy. You got him, and all of a sudden the roster or the wins and losses changed tremendously. So to me, Kevin Durant, I keep saying it, he takes it to another level, man. You're not gonna with Bridges and those guys. They're not. I don't think that they're gonna beat the Clippers. I don't think they're gonna beat the Dubs. Kevin Durant on that team. How do you guard them? All of a sudden, you have a chance. Who Kawhi is going to guard Kevin Durant? Cool. Paul George is going to guard who? Devin Booker. Then who's guarding Chris Paul? Reggie Jackson? John Wall? Watch out! Like Chris Paul. All of a sudden is going to have a matchup. You can't put. No team has three defensive stoppers for those fucking three guys.
So out of the three guys that are up for grabs for Phoenix, they have to find a way to keep one of them. If they can find a way to
You're
keep
so
one,
greedy. Just do
no,
it.
dude, I'm telling you right now. Like it ain't gonna be a two team trade. It's going to involve picks and money and futures and everything else for a deal with any. I think with any team to get done with this because of how much they actually want. One team, maybe other than Golden State, but Golden State, I mean, that's given up Andrew Wiggins, who was an all-star game starter last year, and then probably was number 2 in finals MVP voting last year, or in this last final. I mean, that's giving up that guy. Then you're giving up Jordan Poole, who we all know how the Dubs feel about Jordan Poole. I mean, everybody's calling him the next Curry. So you're giving up that. You're giving up Jonathan Kuminga, and that's a name that me and you go back and forth like, man, this kid has fucking talent. So that's giving up that. That's giving up your future. Plus, it's going to involve picks and money and everything else involved. They're the one team that could do it, and is it worth it for them to do it? Probably not. Well, Phoenix on the other side of it, I mean, yeah, we may not have won the championship, or but dude, number 2 in defensive player of the year and number 2 in plus minus, like that means something. And then Cam Johnson, yeah, he was like number 3 and third or 6th man of the year, and stuff like that. And then DeAndre Ayton, he was a number 1 overall pick, 5 years ago. I mean, he's starting to come into his own. He's starting to get those 30-15 games that he's capable of. And that's a lot to give up for one guy who hasn't played the last 2 years, really. And when he has played, he's played well, but he doesn't play. And the best ability is availability, and he doesn't have it anymore.
He freaking tore his Achilles, and he missed some time, and then he came back.
Absolutely.
And he's getting older, so yeah, you're getting older. Typically, they add up a little bit more. But man, like either way, we're not going to keep spending a gang of time spending on Phoenix. We agree to disagree on this one, big boy. So it is what it is. I think you guys need to go for it. Ayton, you could say first overall pick, but has he lived up to it? The guys drafted behind him are better than him at this point in their career.
The one guy behind him is Luka.
Trey. And Trey?
What has Trey done? Honestly, what has Trey done? Other than bringing
led his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. He led his team. He wasn't the third or fourth.
Did you not see DA last year in the playoffs? Like he led the Suns to the finals.
He has not led his team. He led his team on the bench, dude. Come on now.
DeAndre Ayton on the bench.
He was on the bench at game. He was on the bench.
I'm talking about the year they went to the finals. Did you not see? I mean, he was shooting like.
I saw Giannis putting him in foul trouble, and then him shriveled.
We didn't have a backup center. I mean, I understand why we lost that series. I'm not saying we deserve to win that series, but honestly, what has Trey done other than he splashes sometimes? But he's ice Trey when he's hot. He's ice Trey when he's cold.
He's been leading his team the whole time he's got there, leading his team.
Okay, now is it really his team anymore? Is he still the best player?
And that's what I'm saying. That's the same conversation I had with you, like about Ayton. I was like, unless you're banking on him ascending, and unless his frustrations get taken care of, and he actually does start getting utilized down there on the block and earning that shit, then and he does ascend and take his game to that level, and he gets into the Joker conversation, then sure, it's worth it. But
I don't know if he'll ever get there because he'll never need to be there.
Right.
Anywhere he goes, he won't need to be that. But talk about the reason why he was.
He needs to ascend, dude. He needs to get it, like be that third guy right behind Embiid and right behind dude. If the Phoenix is going to go where they want to go and they're going to keep it as is, and do you really see him doing that? Do you see him being that dominant guy?
Phoenix, he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be in Phoenix. And I mentioned
that's why he's an easy guy to go.
When we mentioned like San Antonio being one of the teams that could trade for him or sign him and give him a max, I think as far as what he can show he can do, that would be the best place for him because he is going to be their best player, especially now with DeJounte Murray gone.
Yeah, he'd be featured. Yeah,
he's going to be featured. And that guy, I do think he can go for 25 and 15 every single
night. I was about to say 25 and 12, dude. He'd average that.
He definitely could do that because, I mean, he is that skilled. He doesn't need to do that in Phoenix. So maybe is that part of part of the tear? He wants the ball. He wants to be the guy. And now
maybe they need that too. Maybe they need to realize that, hey, we got this asset. Maybe we need to utilize it a little bit more, and then maybe it works out. Who knows? But like I said, man, A2D on the whole KD to Phoenix thing. We'll see how it works out. But man, we're talking about teams trying to improve. What other teams out there? What other moves? I know everyone's hyping up these Celtics because they picked up Brogdon, and then they also got who's the other guy they got?
Gallinari.
Yeah, Danilo. Yeah, they got some experience. So they added a couple of solid players to a finals roster. Any other moves or you like that?
So that Celtics move to me so far is probably the best move of the offseason because Brogdon's going to come in. He's going to be their ball handler. It takes Marcus Smart off the ball. He's not the greatest ball handler. So putting him in the 2 spot is going to be great for them. It's going to be absolutely – and they didn't give up anything to get him. So that was a great move. Danilo went to the Spurs. The Spurs they ended up releasing him, and then he signed as a free agent. That could be a great depth, and he's still a sharpshooter. So I really, really like that move. We talk about all the max contracts. We talk about, Booker got one. Cat got one. I mean, all these guys are getting these max contracts to stay with their teams. So, that's good. But Rudy Gobert to Minnesota, man. I mean, that could be because now they have some rim protection. Cat was never really that guy. So they have some rim protection, and now you can put Karl Anthony Towns at the 4. And they still have a lot of young talent around them. And I think that they might ascend a little bit in the Western Conference, at least out of that play-in spot. They might be like the 5 or 6 seed, maybe jumping over a team like Denver or something like that. But I liked that trade for them. Utah seems to be selling, so they're selling a whole bunch of assets. Christian Wood to Dallas was a good one for them because it's a young center. He's a good playmaker. They did lose Jalen Brunson, but I think that the way that they're kind of ascending when Tim Hardaway Jr. comes back,
they got Dinwiddie. They have Dinwiddie.
They have players that can step into that spot.
That's all right. Yeah.
So bringing in Christian Wood, I mean, Powell was their starting center, and they had a whole bunch of big shooting guys. But now they have Christian, and that kid was really, really good last
40%,
year. So
40% from 3. Luka's got a pick and pop guy. They had to rotate between Powell, who was a pick and roll guy, and then you got Kleba, who was the pick and pop guy.
Yeah,
now you got
that
both.
guy. Yeah, that guy was going. Yeah,
right,
so that was an underrated move that not a lot of people are talking about. And then Atlanta, dude. I mean, Atlanta, depending on how they fill this roster out, I was talking about DeJounte Murray before the All-Star game last year about how this kid is just an assassin. And he was on a team that really wasn't that good other than, Greg Popovich being the coach. I mean, not a lot of people heard about him. And this kid, I mean, he was an all-star. And then even after the all-star break, he was one of the better players in the second half of the season last year. And if he was on any other better of a team, they would have made a splash. And I think him going to Atlanta, you talk about Trey. When Trey's hot, when they're on, it's going to depend on how they fill that roster out. Because they did give up one of their shooters, and there's a couple.
Man, but they got was it Bogdanovic? They got that guard off the bench. They still have him. I think Murray's going to start next to Trey, obviously. And
Herder.
then
Are you talking about Herder? Because Herder was the one.
Herder, he's gone. Yeah. I'm talking about the other guy, number 13. Herder was this dude. He was from Sacramento. He could shoot. He's good, dude. Either way, he'll be coming off the bench. I feel like they got Murray, they got Hunter, and they got Collins and Capella. They got some defensive guys, some guys that can shoot. I think, and Murray is another playmaker because they were too dependent on Trey to make all the plays. Those are some good role players, but they need Trey to do it all. And now Trey gets to play off ball. He's going to be able to get some space because this dude can make plays, dude. He was getting triple doubles. I think and he plays really fucking good defense too. So that's where Trey kind of struggled. So other point guards would kind of do their thing against Atlanta. I don't think it's going to happen anymore. So Murray puts the clamps on. So I think it's a sneaky good pickup. I feel like they'll be contenders in the East again for sure because of that move. Milwaukee, they picked up boy Joe Ingles, a real sneaky one. They got Joe Ingles, he's a dog, man. I know Utah missed him when he left there. But he's going to do some little sneaky things for Milwaukee. They brought back Bobby Portis. If they get Chris Middleton back, I feel like, honestly, they are the favorites along with Boston in the Eastern Conference. Boston put themselves right into the mix. I think we disagree. I don't think Brogdon's going to be a playmaker like that. I think right now they know who their 2 all-star playmakers are.
Playmaker. He's going to be the distributor.
He's going to be the guy that he can play off the ball. He's a really good defender. He's a Marcus Smart just like him almost. He plays just like him. He's not going to make a lot of plays, but he can hit open threes. He can make a few plays here and there when you need. He's just an all around good player. He plays defense. He's a good fit for sure. So Gallinari, he's going to be their backup four. I feel like they should still start Horford and the big fella, the Time Lord. And they got the two All Stars and then Smart. Their starting lineup is intact, but now your bench, dude, you got Brogdon off the bench. Dude, they're a good team. They're a good team. I feel like I feel Milwaukee is just a little bit better. Giannis is Chris Middleton. I know Tatum was able to match Giannis a little bit, but Chris Middleton, you mentioned underrated as Bridges. Give me Chris Middleton for the most underrated player in the league, dude.
Yeah.
That guy he's so fucking good. He plays defense. He creates his own shot. He hits open shots. He plays to win, dude. He is a gamer, dude.
He
So for
definitely got
me,
his flowers. He definitely got his flowers like in that finals run. But yeah, like you said, like nobody was talking about him, and I agree with you on that. Like he's definitely up there because the way he played in that 2021 finals, I mean, and that entire playoff season, I mean, he was unstoppable pretty much. And you're right. If he doesn't get hurt last year, who knows? I mean, what changes there? Um, I know. Going back to the teams though, I know there's a couple teams that kind of so far in the offseason have kind of missed. Like there was teams I know that were close. There's a couple teams that come to my head that just completely missed. I kind of want to get your ideas on this. Like in the Eastern Conference, man, who are some teams that just missed? Like had a chance to get better and they missed.
well, I wasn't thinking teams that missed, but a team that I was just thinking about is Miami because they haven't. If other teams are getting better, which Milwaukee and Boston, they're getting guys back and adding guys, they're getting better. And to me, they're both better than you. So if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And the team as they are, they can't do it. So they're desperate for me. They need to push for Donovan Mitchell or Kevin Durant. They got to do something. They have to do something. So as of right now, they're losers because they're taking a step down. They were the one seed. I can guarantee they're not going to be the one seed right now as currently constructed. So they're coming down a little bit. Um, in the East, I can't. Off the top of my head, man, I can't think of a bunch of teams. I'm see the teams that are ascending though. So so I don't know. What do you got? Who you got for some teams that
Well, I
should have
know
done?
in the East, I was going to say Miami. I mean, I feel like they were one. I mean, they still have Jimmy Butler, but they are the other team that's in the Kevin Durant hunt. I think that they're a team that if they were to sell high, they're very similar to Phoenix, man. I mean, they have a lot of good depth players, a lot of good scorers, but not that like one guy that everybody fears. Like I guess Jimmy Butler would be that guy. But I was going to say Miami. I was also going to say Cleveland. They lost Christian Wood. I think Colin Sexton's a free agent too. It doesn't seem like he's going to re-sign. So they're probably going to take a step back. I know the Knicks, like they gave Brunson all this money. I don't see them being very good next year again. Brooklyn's got their whole thing. They got three guys that just seem that they don't want to be there. So there you could throw Brooklyn in the mix. In the Western Conference, man, Utah. I mean, they got all these picks back in return, but I mean that's not going to do anything for them this year. I mean they're
But it's gonna be like the Thunder for them because the Thunder right now they landed Chet Holmgren and they got Shea Gilchrist Alexander.
yeah.
The Thunder, if you ask most GMs or most people, the Thunder have a pretty bright future if you look at the roster and the way they have it. So because they're not going to win, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, that ship has sailed. They had to do it, and they loaded up with picks. I saw this thing today saying that they won that deal. I maybe disagree on that because right now, dude, you kind of hit on it earlier. Minnesota, dude, might have one of the best starting lineups in the Western Conference. So they can. I don't think are they going to win? Are they going to get past these other teams? I don't think so. But man, that's a good move for them. And if you're the Timberwolves who've never won anything, you gotta go for it as much as you can. So I
And
respect.
and
I think that
Cat
was
to
a pretty good
me,
move.
yeah, and Cat to me wasn't a dominant center. Like he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't like he was a four to me. He was he spends a lot of time at the perimeter.
He can shoot, man, and he
And
should.
now,
When you can shoot like that, go ahead, man.
yeah. So there's that. I think Utah. I think that they're still not. I don't think they're done. They're either going to accumulate more picks. I'm talking about as far as this year, they're not going to be a playoff team, even if they were able to get, you know, they get players for Donovan Mitchell around him. They make him happy. They're going to have a new coach this year. It's going to be one of those off years for Utah, maybe an off couple of years. They got to get,
Donovan's got to go. They got rid of Royce. They got rid of Ingles, man.
they got to hit on these
Conley,
draft picks, man. They
yeah,
got
and
to,
maybe Mike Conley is a player to be had too. If you're a, but his contract is like what contender can take that thing on? So, but yeah, they're in rebuild and they should be. They
do the
really should
Lakers.
be. It's time to blow it up, man. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good point.
yeah. So you know, there's all that
Hey,
stuff.
speaking of losers, how about them? The Lakers, what have they done? They picked up Lonnie Walker and they picked
They
up that
picked
dude from
up
Golden State.
Golden
Golden
State,
State,
who was the
yeah.
worst player on the
Toscano.
roster.
Toscano
Yeah,
Anderson.
was the
Yeah,
worst player on the roster. So good luck, LA. Because I mean, you look at it, man. Until they move Westbrook or they move one of the other two big, either AD or LeBron, they're in trouble, man. They're strapped for cash, and they've been like this ever since this GM's taken over. You know, the new bus era is not the same as it was, you know, back when Jerry was at the helm, dude. It
and if
is
you're Brooklyn, dude, don't take Russ. What is Russ gonna do besides sell tickets? And
nothing.
he might not even do that no more. You got other guys that you could play over there, dude. Like if Kevin Durant, you bring him Anthony Davis, all of a sudden KD might want to stay. So ask for Anthony Davis. If you want Kyrie at Lakers, it's gonna cost you Anthony Davis. And are you really gonna do that? No, no, no. So they're gonna have to run it back. And are they gonna beat these other teams? No, sir.
Yeah. And the last team that had a chance. I mean, again, we mentioned the Spurs. I don't understand what they were thinking losing DeJounte Murray. I think they're probably the biggest losers so far in this offseason. They were fighting for a playoff season or a playoff seed, but to me, again, this kid was an assassin, and you could have built around him, but you sold
Even
him for
Aiton,
some marbles and some.
Yeah, you signed Aiton and you got Murray. Oh, it's a nice little duo, man. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden
And now they're a team that's in the bottom of the Western Conference. It's in rebuild mode. I don't understand. You know, maybe Greg's he's like, I can win with anybody. I don't know at this point in his career. I don't know. But
he didn't do it just now, and you had an all star. So to
yeah,
me, you lost an all star. So I'm with you. That's I don't know why he's sticking around, unless honestly I have no idea why he would stick around. Just to I think is he the winningest coach of all time? He just wants to put some because even if you only get 30 wins out of 82 this year, you're still getting some more wins, I guess. But man, they are in rebuild. That's probably the biggest losers of all this, man. I can't think of a good draft pick that they acquired or anything that they've done in a positive way.
I know they had they had three draft picks and they had two first rounders. I'm not sure who those players were. I know one was a foreign guy. I mean, they're trying to snipe like they used to, and
Yeah,
I
they
don't
got
know.
Ginobili and Tony Parker. They did get those guys late, so you
Well, that's
never
what I mean.
know.
Like they're trying to snipe as they used to. So who knows? Maybe there's something that he knows that we don't. You know, which is
Right.
probably very very possible since he's the winningest coach of all time. But yeah, man, on paper right now, I mean, I don't see them doing very much. I think a team. You know, obviously the Pelicans, they're an ascending team. They're going to be very good this year as long as Zion is healthy and plays well. Um,
Ooh, he looks shredded. Speaking of Zion, he's another guy that signed a max deal, and dude's
yeah,
looking shredded. Watch out for the Pelicans, bro. They got him, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. Man,
they're
that's
not
gonna
going
be
to
a
be
nice.
able to hold that. They're not going to be able to hold that squad together very long, but they'll have that team this year, and that could be a team that could very easily make a run in the Western Conference and scare some teams, especially in the playoffs.
I
But
heard them as I mentioned in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes of Brandon Ingram and like a lot of those young players for for
yeah,
KD. But if you're
yeah,
KD, like you're gonna go there to play with Zion, you're really gonna trust Zion.
I
Two
see.
guys that have been.
Like Kevin Durant doesn't have a no trade clause, so like they can trade him anywhere. That he doesn't have a say. but at this point, you get to a point in your career where you're the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryants, the Kevin Durant's. You kind of do have a say. You kind of have a say where you want to play, or kind of stuff like that, because you've already made your money, you've made your career, you've made your legacy. You can just say, well, you know what, I'm just not going to play. So I could see them, like, I've seen that they're trying to work with Brooklyn execs and try to make the deal that works for him too. But at the end of the day, I mean, Toronto was another team that's been brought up. They don't want to get rid of Scotty Barnes. Like, they're in a spot where they don't want to give up their future.
Get rid of Scotty Barnes, unless you're getting rid of Scotty Barnes and Siakam, and like I don't know what these teams are doing. Like, if you ain't first, you're last, buddies. Like,
you just said don't give up Barnes, don't give up Siakam, but you're willing to give up Bridges and Ayton, who are better.
No,
than
I said
those guys?
I said give them up. If it's just those two, unless it's because if it's not if he's not going there to play with Fred VanVleet, Kevin Durant, why like. Yeah.
He's going there. He's going there because Drake's there or something. Like,
it'd be another third team is gonna have to be involved in that one, but at least they got some pieces so they can get conversations started. But if you want to give up Siakam and Barnes, that's fine. But you're gonna have to send Ben Simmons over there with you.
He's got Ben Simmons is gonna have, if they're gonna make a Kevin Durant trade. The way that I've seen all these play outs from, like,
and they can fit good together. People keep shitting on Ben Simmons and hating on Ben Simmons.
It's not about the player. Right now, it's not about the player or the person. His contract. If they're going to move Kevin Durant, they're going to have to move Ben Simmons too, because of the way I've seen, like, 7 or 8 different
players. Yeah, there's a list of players for certain players.
For what they want back for Kevin Durant, they're going to have to move Simmons too, and that's why a lot of these scenarios have a third team. Some of them even have a fourth team involved, just because it gets that tricky and gets that sloppy and it's just messy because of Ben Simmons. And I mean, do you think they want to keep Ben Simmons now after the whole back thing at the end of the year? I mean, the owner of
I think they should want to.
Well, I would want to too. I mean, if you get the player that he was before all that Embiid shit, or with the beef between him and Embiid and the back and everything else, if you get that player, I mean, he's one of the best defenders in the league, if not the best.
He was an all-star and can't make a jump shot, so he does some things pretty good.
But I mean, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it just makes it really sloppy because of his contract. So you can't have, and then if Kyrie gets moved, maybe things open up. Like, there's just so many things. But
does Kyrie get moved?
I think Kyrie gets moved. I think Kyrie will be a Laker. I do. I think, like, right now, it's the difference between Joe Harris and Seth Curry. Like, fucking sign off on it, man. Like, if the owner of the Nets is so done with Kyrie because of last year and the vaccination shit and all, and he doesn't want to put up with it anymore, sign off on it. Who gives a shit if it's Curry or if it's not Stephen? So who cares what Curry it is? It could be Dell. I mean, who cares?
I'd rather have Curry too. Curry's more reliable.
I would too. But if you're as done,
honestly, if you're Brooklyn, like to bring in Russ actually, because Russ and Ben Simmons, that ain't gonna work. We just saw Ben Simmons or LeBron and
there's not enough spacing.
Ain't gonna. They're both ball dominant guys that aren't great shooters, so they need shooters around them, and they both take that away with each other on the court, like LeBron and Russ did this year. So that won't work. So if you're Brooklyn, there is no way in hell you do, like, just to hook up the Lakers. Like, sorry, Lakers, that ain't how it's gonna work. I don't see that happening either. That's why I go back to it. I think they're gonna end up running that shit back in Brooklyn. They're gonna fucking kiss and make up and go one more time, and then Kyrie's free after this year, so then he'll be able to choose where he goes.
Has New York lifted? I mean, I don't want to get into this, but has New York lifted all that vaccine stuff yet?
They did. He was able to play towards the end of the year.
So if that's the case, man, like, yeah, they should run it back. They have 3 really, really good players with shooters around them. Why not run that shit back? The problem that they have is I think their owner he's a little bit too much involved. He keeps running his mouth about stupid shit.
He shouldn't be an owner. If you're gonna let your ego get in the way, buddy, you gotta pay people to make decisions and think logically here, because that your best case situation is for everyone to come back. So ultimately, you need to always have that on the table if you're running the show there. That has to stay on the table and be your option.
100%
So
agree with that. Problem is he's also getting crap about that Steve Nash hire, and I'm wearing a fucking Steve Nash jersey. I love Steve Nash, but he wasn't the right hire for that fucking in
dude, they
that
had
specific
I
time.
saw I don't know if I was seeing things, but did I see the Celtics go Udoka? He was a Nets assistant the year before?
Dude,
I'm pretty sure.
there was
Like,
I mean,
how the hell do you let that guy go to keep this dude? Like, that is crazy, man.
you read about a lot of this stuff, man, and of course people are going to put their spin on it. Oh, they didn't hire a black coach. They should have done this and this and this. They hired Steve Nash because of this.
Well, I heard Kyrie told him like at a dinner. It's probably an article, but I seen this thing on the internet saying like that. Kyrie said, "Hey, they're at dinner at Steve Nash's house," and he goes, "Hey, can I see Kobe's MVP trophies that you took from him or whatever?" Doing, giving him a hard time about it. And I heard Steve Nash didn't really like that so much. So I heard there's a little, there's the whole respect level ain't really there. And Kyrie, who does he respect? That dude, he's a character, man.
Well, he's honest. I mean, he is who he is, and
Yeah,
he's gonna be who that, and he's been that his entire
yeah,
career.
right.
So anyway,
But
man, well, it's good to be back. It's good to have
oh yeah,
be back on the screen.
knock the rust off. We all right though.
Yeah, hey, we're about to get into our bread and butter, man. Like we love basketball. We play basketball on the same team, man. We got to win this Sunday, man. That's another thing.
For
For all the
sure.
guy, hey, for all the guys on the rejects, hey, we got to win this week, man. Enough of this.
Yeah. Take prize medley. Quick little shout out
Let's go,
over there
man.
holding it down.
Let's go. But yeah, we love basketball, guys. But hey, we're gonna be getting into some fantasy football. NFL's coming around the season. If there's anything that you guys want to hear us, jab on that we're missing, let us know.
Right. We're gonna be wrapping up hoops here. Once this KD situation gets resolved, we're gonna dabble on that. If he does get moved, we're gonna come back with another hoops take. But hoops is gonna take a little backseat for a little while because we got football. This is what, like you said, it's our bread and butter. We got fantasy coming up. We got reality. We're gonna go over division favorites. We're gonna go over fantasy favorites, top tens, quarterbacks, all the positions. We're gonna break them all down. We're gonna give you who we're gonna be going with. It's gonna be a lot different from the one you see on the mainstream ESPN and NFL. I'll tell you that all right now. So make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, let us know if you agree to disagree. Fantasy football coming up, man. What we got? Like another month until our draft. Our draft is in
Yeah.
September. Yeah, our draft is in September, so we're about to start cranking it up here pretty soon. When's your guys' draft dates? Let us know.
All right, guys. Hey, take care.